then you also get a trio of college football playoff games and then a pair of NFL games. Saturday is a spectacular day for sports, especially if you love football. Let's bring on Carter Freemon to talk some college football. Now, I want to dive into the playoff because as we were also simultaneously watching this game where, Mike, are you cheering for Stanford because they have the littler quarterback?
No, I would like to say yes. I was happy that they scored the touchdown. I just want to see it be like a last second
I got
play.
you.
They were off. Stanford caused a fumble, but they were offside, so it doesn't count.
Now, I want to clean up a couple of college football things that are left over before we dive into the playoff. Kurt Cignetti from Indiana has been named the AP Coach of the Year. I can't say I'm terribly surprised by that. One of the other candidates would, of course, have been Rhett Lashley, and the thing that Rhett Lashley was just talking about is the transfer portal window in December being absurd. And I
agree with him.
Okay,
it's free agency during the playoffs. Like, could you imagine that in the NFL?
No.
It's coaches being able to do interviews for other teams while in the playoffs.
Well, and to SMU's point, Preston Stone, their backup quarterback, is still on the team, but he's in the portal. Yeah. So he's actively looking to leave. But if Kevin Jennings were to get hurt, not be able to play, Preston Stone would have to step in.
So my daughter goes to University of Texas. Yep. Humble brag, I guess. I don't know. I'm just saying. She has to have she does have her classes in for next semester. They have to be, the tough part is how do we do this with football players, knowing that if they're going to be on your spring team and do all the practice, today is the 19th?
Yes.
So you have approximately 2 weeks left to get your classes in and what you're taking.
I'll tell you this, Mike, and I will agree with you immediately if that's why the rule is set up that way. If it's set up for those school purposes, I get it. I don't know why it's set up like that. Somehow I doubt that the NCAA is like, oh, we got to help out our students. But if that's what they're doing, then I get it.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, is it's because of the academic calendar, because nobody else has that. But it's just become such a loud issue and such a noticeable one, especially now with the 12-team playoff and, more teams as a part of this. But I don't know how they change it unless they, make the student athletes employees and make it, some different way, because otherwise, they're not changing schools' academic calendars, and that seems to be the thing that they do this all by.
Let's just get rid of the school part, and just.
I mean, isn't that the way we've been trending for?
Yeah. When I was at Texas Tech, I'm pretty sure the football players didn't have to go to school.
That's the way to do it, right there, for sure.
Now, in terms of the playoff itself, I have a feeling everybody in this room is probably to a certain extent rooting for SMU. I understand if people are rooting for Texas.
Man, and TCU, don't forget about them.
They're not in this bracket, I'm sorry to tell you.
Don't forget about them, though.
Oh, is there another team besides the Texas teams that you guys are like, I would like to see them win?
Would like to see win?
Maybe win the whole thing.
Well, I picked Oregon to beat Georgia in the national championship game before the season, so I'd like to be right. And Dylan Gabriel, formerly OU quarterback, now at Oregon, I would like to see him have some success.
Okay.
But just in terms of these first-round games, would love to see SMU go to Penn State and beat them. I think there's actually, of all the first-round games, I think that has the highest likelihood of the lower seed beating the higher seed. That being said, if Penn State beats SMU, I might pick Penn State to go to the national championship game. I think it's that much of a pivot.
Really?
What Penn State showed me against Oregon in the Big Ten championship game was a lot. I was really impressed with it. And if you look at their bracket, if they beat SMU, Penn State would go to the Fiesta Bowl, play Boise State. I think Penn State's a better team than Boise State. If they can do enough to contain Ashton Genty and the rest of the team, I think they could win that game by double digits. Then they would play the winner, most likely Georgia, in the semifinal. Georgia's going to most likely start Gunnar Stockton, their backup quarterback. We have no idea what to expect out of him. So, and if Penn State's already won 2 games and they go in the semifinals against a backup quarterback and a good Georgia team, SEC champion, don't want to say they're not, I don't know. I kind of like that path for them if Penn State can beat SMU, which I don't know if they will.
Who are they likely to play if Georgia can't win their first round? I know their first round game, the bowl game.
It would be either Indiana or Notre Dame.
Okay.
And I think Penn State.
Do you think
could beat
Georgia is going to beat one of those two teams without a quarterback?
I will still say yes, just because What they did against Texas in the SEC championship game was really impressive to me. They're down at halftime with a backup quarterback coming in, and they come back and win that game. Like, Texas should have, honestly, they should have won that game by a lot more. First of all, they should have won that game in my mind watching it. But then for Georgia, the rest of the team to be that resilient, to not only come back and win that game, do it with a backup quarterback, I'm not going to bet against Georgia until I see them really struggle against, one of these other teams. And I know they lost to Ole Miss and lost to Alabama in the regular season, but when it's crunch time, Kirby Smart's teams turn it on.
I have a top 3, Kevin, that I've decided on. And yes, SMU is number 1.
That makes sense.
And if TCU was in it, they'd be right there tied at 1A, 1B.
1A, 1B.
And I couldn't decide there. Following that, though, I want Kirk Cignetti to win it all.
That would be amazing.
Because of the jump out of it. And that would be very amazing for SMU, too, if that was the thing. And then on top of that, the third one would be Boise State. And Ashton Gianti just running his team all the way to a championship and nobody being able to stop him. And then that's a guarantee, Mike, that Jerry Jones is like, get that kid in my backfield. I want him right now. Let's figure out how to get that guy. So that would be my 3. But if all else fails, because those are all underdogs in my opinion there.
Okay.
I do kind of want to see if Arch Manning could somehow fall into the starting role in a game and then take Texas all the way.
Okay, so now that's a really interesting question to discuss. How much do you think we'll actually see Arch Manning? Because people were frustrated, or fans and some pundits were frustrated. You didn't see him more against Georgia. A lot of people are arguing about Quinn Ewers and what he deserves if he's about to head off to the draft. How much playing time do y'all think Arch Manning is actually going to get? Let's say Texas goes on a nice run in this. How much playing time is he actually going to see?
I don't think he'll see any more than we've seen over the last couple games.
3rd and 1, 4th and 2s.
Yeah, there'll be packages for him, but I get that Ewers has struggled, especially in the red zone.
Yeah.
But I'm just not buying the idea that a redshirt freshman is going to come in a playoff scenario and just be 10 times better than the guy who's already started 26, 27 games in this Steve Sarkisian system. I'm just not going to buy that. And Ewers might not be good enough to take them there. I just can't believe that Manning is going to come in and just instantly be better. We saw him come in against Georgia in the regular season, and he looked like a freshman in that game.
That's true. Do you buy the idea that Arch Manning is the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy next year?
I mean, when he started this year, he looked really, really good against Mississippi State and against UTSA. So Texas is going to play all the same teams that they played this year in the SEC, as well as I believe they actually start next year with Ohio State. Ooh. So that if you're going to launch a Heisman campaign, and I believe it's in Columbus, that'd be the perfect spot to do it. But I think it'll be high up there because Texas quarterbacks with Steve Sarkisian have success. And if Arch is supposed to be as talented as we all think he is, he's going to have a lot of success.
How many overtime games? The over-under is just 1. Do you think there'll be an overtime game in the college football playoff tournament? The whole thing.
Yeah, I think there will.
There's more games.
I think there's going to be 2.
Ooh, take the over.
Especially with how many we felt like we saw late in the season here in those championship games.
The lines are large.
They are.
So far. So it'll be interesting. By the way, just an update. Ganado drove the ball all the way down the field to approximately the 5-yard line with 2 seconds to go. They have barely made their extra points.
The kicking has been shaky today.
So
didn't they just miss a field goal pretty hard?
Yes. So it is going to be almost the shortest field goal you can have for a state championship.
It's coming down to the last second like you wanted.
But this could be the longest field goal this kid's ever kicked from I guess it'll be from the 12-yard line.
Probably.
He's kicking it from. Where did you guys try it in Oxnard?
From the 10.
So this is approximately where you guys tried kicking field goals from. This is only for a state championship.
With nothing on the line. Yeah. All right, Carter, highest and lowest scoring game this weekend. So we've got Notre Dame and Indiana Friday night. You got 3 more games on Saturday. What will be the highest scoring game? What will be the lowest scoring game?
Highest, I will go with Texas and Clemson because I think Texas is going to blow Clemson out. I think they're going to put a lot of points on them. I was talking to Alec about this earlier. The only reason Clemson is in the playoff is because they made a miracle 56-yard field goal.
That's
at
true.
the end of a game they were going to lose if it went to overtime,
Yes.
in my opinion. So I don't think they belong in the playoff. They're in it. Texas has just crushed teams that they are way better than. So I think Texas put up a lot of points. That'll be your highest scoring game. The closest
They called a timeout, Carter, to ice the kicker.
I'm trying to keep focus on both here. Lowest scoring, that'll be tomorrow night, Indiana, Notre Dame, in the cold, in the weather, in the, just, I don't know, something about that game. That's going to be some burly Midwest style football. That's going to be like a 20-13 style game. I think Notre Dame will win, but I think it'll be low scoring.
Now, I know he won the Heisman. ESPN has also got him number one. Is Ashton Genty the best player in the college football playoff? And if it's not him, is it Dylan Gabriel?
I'll say Genty's the best.
Okay.
He's been the best all season. It's hard to go against a quarterback of an undefeated team when he's number one in the country, but
Here we are.
Yeah. Stuart Mandel, Mike's guy, on with Sean and RJ this morning, was saying that Oregon's just kind of boring because they just go out and take care of business, so you don't really talk about him. But yeah, he's been great. I think they're definitely a 1-2. But is Quinn Ewers a top 50 player? Because ESPN didn't have him in their top 50.
Would you put Cam Scatabo up there? Because I know people are, oh my God, he missed. He missed that game-winning field goal.
Just like you and Oxnard.
For it. I was wondering that too. At 25 seconds, the coach decided to run the clock down to 2 seconds for that.
I don't know if I've ever seen Mike this involved in any game.
So
except for maybe the World Series.
Split state title, right?
Ganado.
I feel terrible. So Ganado, that kicker missed from the other hash. I think it's the same kicker pretty badly on a short field goal. This was for the state title
yards.
from 21 or 22 yards, and they missed it. So we will go to overtime at AT&T Stadium. But Arizona State, they might have the least attention of them. In fact, I'm going to change that. Arizona State is getting less publicity going into the playoff than any other team there is. And they have a great player in Cam Scatabo. What does he do? And are you surprised? Everyone's like, oh, yeah, good for you, Arizona State. He made it.
He breaks tackles. He's a
really
tackle-breaking machine. I saw him do it live in the Big 12 championship game, and it's just he's so, what do they call it, like a low center of gravity
Yes.
with those certain running backs? Like, you just can't, it's really hard to take him down if you don't tackle well. So he's been on a heater the entire season. I believe he finished 5th in the Heisman voting. It would have finished higher if people hadn't turned in their ballots before championship weekend, because I know a lot of writers did.
I could see that.
But this is why the 12-team playoff is fun, because Arizona State, not a lot of people have been talking about them. They've been one of the hottest teams in the country for the final half of the season. And they take that and win the Big 12, and they get the automatic bid to the college football playoff. This will be the real test to see if that can carry over after about a month layoff, because they'll be playing in the new year. I believe January 1st is when January 1st is when the Peach Bowl is. So it'll have been a month, but the way they've been playing for 2 months now, and their one loss in that time was when Sam Leavitt, Arizona State's quarterback, didn't play.